Hey, we are your hosts, NixMyth.
And Kylie Jo Smith, and welcome back.
And we back, and we back, and we back.
I was saying it to them. I was saying welcome back to you.
And y'all back, and y'all back. Because we actually haven't really gone anywhere, but we are back in this whole situation. So here it is. Here we are.
Yeah. So we
2024, y'all.
took a little break.
A little bit. It's like a little siesta. You know what I mean? We had some things we had to get squared away.
A 10.5-month siesta.
No big
pretty
deal.
Pretty normal, really.
No big deal.
I mean, it's pretty average.
I think so. I mean, here's the thing. I felt like I was about to make an excuse. Here's the thing. No, we had a pretty eventful 2023. So our last episode, go back and watch that. It's about Should Black History Matter to the church?
Yeah, actually, we'll just re-release that next month.
Probably.
So you can go back and watch it then, or you can go back and watch it right now.
Yeah, whenever you want, really. It's available, is what we're saying. So as we were, like, after we recorded that, we had a whole lot of life that happened. And so we just want to give you like a little recap and just share with you some things we learned in this past year as we're kicking off a new season of the NixMyth Podcast.
Yeah, so I think we mentioned it when we did this, but we actually moved to another part of the state. We are in PA, so we moved. Big deal. Moved from a really fast-paced, very involved line of work that we were doing. And then we moved to the city and bought a house.
Yeah.
And both of us changed jobs, which was crazy. And then we continued homeschooling our kids, which is always kind of like every stage of that. It always changes. So like we were in a transition there. And what else? Did a lot.
One of the major reasons that we had a huge learning curve. So Kylie Jo and I, when we were in full-time pastoral ministry, we had the same schedule. And so we just did life together. And then at our last place of employment, we both had the same schedule because we worked together. And so when we moved and we both got separate jobs, separate schedules, life just got crazy.
Yeah.
And so
it's like super humbling and like strengthening and weakening and all of the things that we experienced in that season.
I will tell you, one of the things that hit me one day, it was I think it was a Sunday, and I'm not preaching on Sundays every Sunday. I still pulpit fill or whatever, but I remember whatever whatever you call it, when you're there telling people about Jesus. It was one Sunday morning. I remember getting up, getting the kids ready, and just thinking like, man, where's my day of rest? And it hit me. All those people used to make excuses like, Pastor, I couldn't come to church because, we just needed a day off with the family. And I fought through that. I was like, no, I'm going to church. I'm not going to be one of those people that uses this. Sorry, if you're one of those people, I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying for me, that was not something I was going to allow. But I felt it. I felt the sympathy and the empathy for those folks when I was pastoring, and I only had to worry about like pastoring and being with people, walking with people through their life. I didn't have like a clock to punch and kids to take to ice skating or wrestling or whatever. It was just us doing life. And now that we have that stuff, our kids have different activities they're in, and we're a one-car family. And so we have, shuffling all the time. I was like, I get it now. Like, I think God humbled me enough to give me some empathy in this season. So,
yeah. Well, and even the work we were doing before was all of the hustling and bustling and shuffling and all of the other words with like schedules and different things.
Spilled a little water. No big deal.
Got a little excited.
It's okay. I was
like,
hustle and bustle. Water everywhere.
Speaking of hustle and bustle, check this out. But we were doing all of that. But again, we were doing it together, and we were doing it kind of under the umbrella of an organization where so many things were like provided and like made it so that in that environment you hopefully wouldn't fail or wouldn't have to experience some of the pressure from outside. But stepping outside of that, which was an act of faith, I will say, like being called away from that line of work was definitely something that the Lord did to teach us and strengthen us and increase our reliance on Him. But stepping out of that was like, oh, whoa, yes. Forgot just for a hot second there, like maybe 2 years, that people do this all the time in real life and with very limited resources. And so it was just, I would say definitely a humbling but also a blessing. Like there was blessing in that. Like we weren't humbled in a way that was like humiliating or like, oh no, like the Lord's trying to teach me a lesson. Like how a lot of times we feel in human relationships, like, oh, well, that person, they taught me a lesson. It was more of like, oh, wow, the Lord is like gently restoring us back to really trusting him in a deeper
Yeah.
way. And so I think that was like probably a good like 6 months out
Yeah,
of the year. We were just
definitely.
like, oh my gosh, I'm learning this. Okay, I have to relearn this and I have to redo this. And so yeah, we did that. We didn't travel as much
No,
last year, which was actually a
that was a
huge
blessing.
blessing. We spent, as many of you know, we spent a lot of time traveling, whether it was to
In previous
Nashville
years, yeah.
or just back and forth to different places. And so we did not do that this past year.
Not this year. We actually had a really chill Christmas.
Hmm.
Like just stayed home all day. I don't think we left
Yeah.
the house on Christmas. It was awesome.
Yeah.
We love our family. We love visiting, but every now and again, it's good to have a just chill holiday.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know God was showing me in the first part of last year, and he still shows me over and over again. I don't know if y'all know this. I struggle with control. That's something that so we did theater in college and I acted for very little bit. I didn't like it because other people told you what to do. And I was like, I don't like that. I have
Now,
no
I,
control.
on the other hand, love that about acting. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and I did. And I was like, no, I want to create. I want to be the one that shapes the world. And I thought it was just me being artsy, but really it was control stuff that God was working out in me.
Both and.
And so this past year, so I started a new job where I'm developing and pioneering a ministry for a nonprofit. And it's a young adults ministry. And for the first part of the year, I didn't have a whole lot to do one-on-one. It was a lot of planning. It was a lot of research. It was a lot of building connections. And I felt like God was showing me in those seasons, like, there's nothing you can do to make anything happen quicker.
Mm.
Like, you have to sit and you have to be quiet and you have to trust and you have to have faith that I'm working. And so there was a lot of several weeks, I will say months, where I was chomping at the bit, just waiting for something to happen. And I was just praying and asking God, what's the thing? What's the thing I can do that I can control, that I can make happen? Even looking at like starting the podcast back up, and we were making plans even back then in March, April, May of last year. God was like, no, sit and trust. And so that was something he reminded me this past year. That was a huge blessing and frustrating moment. You know how like your parents, when they teach you stuff, it's kind of frustrating, but you know it's good. And so that was the Lord kind of sitting me down, be like, nah, Nick, chill out.
I think it was cool to see though from the outside, because it was work that we weren't doing together.
Yeah.
And there were several times where I was like, oh, well, here's an idea. And then I was almost like, no, you know what? Maybe that is an idea, maybe even a good one, but like, that's not my job. And not in an unhealthy way of like, I don't know, figure it out. Like, it's your job. But it was more of like, no, this is like, truly, this isn't your wheelhouse, Kylie Jo. This isn't the thing that God has called you to do. And then focusing my energy in the work that I was called to do. But it was really cool just to see you go through those moments of frustration, not like, haha, it's so cool to see you frustrated.
It's so cool watching you struggle. That was the best.
But like, it was cool to see you turning to God and saying,
Yeah.
like, you know what, I'm just going to trust that, I'm going to have this meeting and the conversation's going to go, whatever way the Lord wants it to. And even like the people that you had around you, like, the supervisors and people on your team that were affirming those things
Yes.
without knowing what you were going through internally was just really cool. Cause that's the Lord. Like that was just God doing that.
I'll tell you what, having godly people around you is a must. If you went 2023 without community, you need it.
2024 is your year. Your year for community.
Maybe
I hope.
it's your choice to
Should
start
be.
choosing community because you have to have godly people around you who will speak into those moments and not even aware. Like you said, people that were talking, I had a conversation with someone. It was one day I was struggling with like, I don't even know if this is my gig, like if this is for me. I'm just going to trust God has me here for now, but we'll see. And then I had a conversation with someone in the office. They're like, wow, it just seems like this is where you're supposed to be. And I remember being like, oh, dang. Okay. I guess this is where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, it was cool just having like seeing that in other people.
Yeah.
Reflecting God's heart. So that was cool.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. You are right about everything. I'm just kidding.
Been working on that response all year. It's been tough going.
But also like, not that we do things just to get the result, but I think it was the fruit of your patience and your steadfastness with the Lord is that you've been able to grow something and watch the Lord bring people into this ministry who truly need community, who truly need to be around others. And it's just been really cool to see that.
We got to share. All
okay,
right.
wait. No, I got to preface it.
Okay.
Because like there's other stuff and I'm going to get to it. But like we can go on and on about all the things we did this year, last year.
Amazing things.
But I think you agree with me on this. And I think you know what I'm about to say.
Always agree. I always agree with you.
The most notable accomplishment of our 2023 was, if you can hear right now.
Oh, now
she stopped. She stopped. We adopted a cat.
Kinda. Like, can you actually adopt an animal, or are you just like kidnapping it? And
well,
keeping it
no.
for
Here's the
yourself?
thing. Okay, so
what is adoption?
So here's
Let's
the
talk
story.
about this.
Here's the story. Okay, so we live in the city, and there's like stray cats all over.
Our neighbor loves to feed the stray cats.
Yes, and it's so precious and sweet. At the same time, like they're always around, and so we're like, oh my gosh. Well, this one cat started showing up, and she was so sweet. And like you could tell, kind of like, well, she's not like a feral cat because
she was very, very personable.
Yeah, and we had a couple like litters that were born in the alley, and you'd see them, and they're all like super scared of people, and like like a feral cat. But she was not. She was very sweet, and she had just the prettiest eyes, and she was just she would sit in the window in the kitchen, and I was like, Nick, look, she's so pretty, and he'd be like, I'm allergic,
straight up.
So that takes us out of the running of ever owning a cat. Like what, like almost like, what's wrong with you? Are you crazy, woman? But I'm like, oh, she's so pretty. Well, okay. And and then one day she's sitting in the window outside, and she like turns, and I could see her belly, and I was like, I think we like named her Mittens.
Becca named her.
Our daughter named her Mittens. I was like, I think Mittens maybe with child, perhaps.
Or children,
kittens. And it's true, she was. And so then one night we came back from a show. Was it during Miracle of Christmas?
I don't know. It was cold, and it was a Friday night.
I think it was during Miracle of Christmas. We were doing Miracle of Christmas at Sight and Sound, and so we come home, and it's late and cold, and I hear like these little mew mew mew, like kittens. That was my impression of a cat.
That was a great impression. I thought that there were cats here.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's giving birth right now. Like I just knew, like my mommy senses were like, there's a cat giving birth.
Mom senses are tingling.
In the vicinity. We go and find her. She was like under our neighbor's grill cover, and she was really well hidden. But y'all, this cat, I doulaed the cat. Let's just say that.
It was
long story short.
And here's the thing. I'm not a cat person. I don't hate cats. I love animals. I'm just allergic. And so I was like not going to let these little kittens freeze. It was like under 20 degrees outside.
They were so little.
And they were on the concrete. Like she was giving birth on the concrete. And I was like, okay, what do we got to do? And so we ended up rescuing these little kittens from freezing to death, having little kitten sickles outside. And so, I mean, we didn't.
Yes, I know.
I mean, they're warm.
Yes.
And so, anywho, fast forward, we were blessed to get them all adopted out. There were 5 kittens.
Mm-hmm. And all 5 of them have wonderful homes with wonderful people.
Shout out to those of you who adopted kittens from us. You know what it is. But now we've got the mama still.
Yes, Mittens is sweet, and she's very affectionate, and
she's a fine cat.
She also needs to be spayed. So that was something that we...
Because we ain't trying to have no more litters. Allergic, trying to get through all this.
So this is our intention with her, if the Lord wills it, that she could be like an outdoor, indoor cat. Obviously, the wintertime, we're not going to be like, okay, get out, your babies are gone. Because we don't want to contribute to the cat problem. And we also, just want to like take care of her and be responsible because she became part of our life.
So now, if you hear any noises for the rest of the episode,
the cat.
It's the cat.
Needs to be spayed. Anyway, but going back,
anywho,
while she is the most notable accomplishment that our family had, I would say not her, but it was like taking care of these kittens. We used it with our kiddos. Like our kids were helping take care of these kittens and learning about like kitten development and all these things. And we were doing our best to socialize and train 5 cats.
Kylie
five
Jo was
and a
doing
half,
her
I guess.
best. I tried my best to stay out
Yes.
of the cat area because I would start
Yes.
itching and sneezing and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like there's phrases that you hear that people say a lot that you're like, oh yeah, haha, like herding cats. But until you've done it legitimately in your basement, you don't know. You don't know what it means to herd cats.
Herd, not hurt.
Herd. And
Herding.
also like cat calling, like someone making cat calls. Until you've listened to cat calls,
Ridiculous.
you don't know what that is.
How
Anyway.
annoying they are.
But we also like trying to think of things we did just because it's fun to go back and relive it. I did a cabaret with Servant Stage.
Now explain, what is a cabaret?
A cabaret is like a concert. Except it was not my original music. I did songs from shows that I've wanted to do before. I did a couple spoken word poems, I think maybe a monologue or something.
Some gospel and worship.
I did some gospel and worship. Did some original music. Isaiah and Rebecca performed with me. It was really cool. It was at the Magic and Wonder Theater out here in PA, and it's just wonderful. It was a great experience. I was the first one in the whole like series in the thing. I kicked off the series
Which
to
was
do
really
it.
cool.
It was wonderful, wonderful support from community. I was able to be in someone else's cabaret. My friend Reggie, it was awesome. Yeah,
I wanted you to clarify because I remember before I got involved in the theater mix, I didn't understand what a cabaret was, and I mixed that up with burlesque.
Oh, definitely not the same.
Because like when I've seen pictures of the show Cabaret, people are always scantily clad.
Okay, yeah.
And like, so when someone's like, "Oh, I did a cabaret," I'd be like, "Ooh, you better."
Oh yeah,
not.
no, please don't. We're not gonna.
Cabaret.
I was fully clothed.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Cabaret is just like a showcase of music.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah.
I just wanted that clarification because I know what my misunderstanding was. I remember we were gonna do a cabaret series in the common area of our college, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do cabarets just right here in the commons," and I was like, "Wait, y'all finna do what?" Like, I know this is college, but that's a little much.
different. It's a little
midday.
No,
huh?
cabaret and burlesque are not the same thing.
Correct.
So,
I do know that now.
Yes, I should clarify. Isaiah and Rebecca were not in a burlesque with me. They were in my cabaret.
We try to be very responsible parents and take good care of our children.
But Isaiah and Rebecca also got to do a show this year. They got to be in a couple shows, I think, or one. I don't remember. They got to perform.
They did 2 shows.
And yeah, I got to assistant direct. I got to direct. I am directing now for the second time. So yeah, just some really cool artistic things I wasn't expecting because I have been performing full time. I did Moses with Sight and Sound Theaters, and so I didn't think I would be doing anything else. And then the Lord was like, actually, why don't you like try to grow in these areas? And so that was just a really cool experience to get to do that with like-minded people. And yeah.
Honestly, y'all, there's so much. You try to recap a year and
I'm like,
15 minutes.
I'm trying to think. There's so many things we did. And
Zay got a yellow belt in judo, which is pretty cool.
Yes, judo
Rebecca
center.
played tennis, and she did some judo. And we got soccer coming up soon.
Yeah,
lots of
more judo.
Continue lifting.
Nick's joining judo
and prayer.
Accountability. Now I've said it.
Lift me up in prayer as well. This is the last thing I'm gonna share. So we do things for our children, y'all. If you ain't got kids, just trust me. There are things you're like, I'm not gonna do that. That sounds stupid. And your kid's like, we should do that. You're like, you know what? We should. We should do that.
You know what? I've always thought that was a good idea.
So God bless our son. Was wanting to quit. Now, I was allowed to quit a lot of things as a kid. My parents did their best, but just the family dynamic we had. You want to quit something? That's fine. I don't care. Move on. I was never made to like stick it out and get through stuff. And there's probably things I need to go to therapy because of all that. But I want my child to have that stick-with-itness.
Stick-to-itiveness.
Grit. I want my children to have grit. So Isaiah was, getting to a point where he's like, I want to quit, Dad. That would have been fine if there were like legitimate reasons, like he was afraid or he got injured, or he just didn't like it. But every time he went, he enjoyed it. He's good at it. He has skill, talent, kind of natural ability. And so I was like, why do you want to quit? I don't really like the workout. Like, no, I'm not letting you quit because you don't like doing push-ups. Like that's not why we're quitting. And so I asked, I was like, what would it be like if your sister joined back with you? He's like, I don't know. It's like, okay, what if I joined? Would you join? It's like, dang it, I done said it. I said it, now I got to do it. And so I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
let's see how, let's get to your yellow belt. Let's see how you feel about it after that point. Got through it. And I was like, it'd be good. Like, it'd be good for him to have me there. I would be starting at a lower belt, even though I'm a grown up. I could just throw little kids around if I wanted to. But skill wise, I hadn't learned the moves. And so here coming up soon, y'all see little father-son judo pics on the NixMyth page or the podcast page. So
Yeah. Well, and it's cool because I'd been talking with a friend at work who was sharing about how he joined with his sons in Taekwondo and how like it just was a great experience for him. And it was around that same time I was like, hey, listen to this. And it was just kind of another confirmation, I guess, and encouragement. And so, yeah, there are things we do for our kids. It's like, I'll never do that. And then you find that like it's necessary, or you eat your words because you realize like, oh, when I said that, I was really full of myself and I had no idea what I was talking about. I wasn't
paying no attention to the Lord. I
wasn't thinking about how my actions would affect this other person.
Yeah.
Who looks at me with stars in their eyes up to a certain point. And so, and that's the other thing. Isaiah turned 10 this year. Of course, it was like the beginning of this year. But that's
Rebecca's
a whole
7.
like, yeah, it's a whole shift in like relational dynamics and things. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
We got a little preteen in our house now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
But it's like the things, and we were just talking about this, like the things that our kids in our family get to experience right now are things that at their age we were not hearing or seeing or doing.
Yeah.
And we're not receiving. And it's just so amazing to see like the Lord shaping them and refining us in the process as well. But
very much.
But yeah, there's a lot of parenting things that I think last year I was like, okay, there's even more. Oh, all right,
that's
Lord.
what we're doing now.
Oh, that's
cool.
where we're at. Okay.
Yep. Didn't expect that, but here we are.
But for the grace. The grace of God. So yeah, that's our recap, I guess.
We just wanted to be reintroduced to y'all, and hopefully you guys stick with us. We got more content coming your way. Please follow us on social media. You can see kind of my fitness health journey that I'm on. Been doing all right. Lost like 1.5 inches so far. Been pretty steady. Actually, I'm gonna go up get on the treadmill a little bit later today. So yeah, just continue to follow and support, and we're just excited to be back.
Yeah. Well, this has been the NixMyth Podcast reintroduced.
Come on.
We hope that, what is it?
We hope. We hope. Y'all, we hope a lot of stuff. We just hope.
We have high hopes.
High hopes. We hope that this podcast connected you to living truth.
Be blessed.
Be blessed.